Nothing represents a lean, fit midsection like a six-pack. Training plays a critical role in this, as does genetics and diet. Some things you can change and some things you can't. Today we'll be focusing on complete ab training with an emphasis on the rectus abdominis or six-pack. Not everyone has a six-pack or can have one. The number of blocks you have is genetically determined. I've been pretty lean, but never truly had a six-pack. Your abs are one muscle that runs from your ribs under your chest down towards your pelvis. The line down the middle of your abs is called the Linea Alba. There are other tendinous lines that run horizontally on our abs, and how many of these we have is genetically determined. Some people, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, only have two lines, and no matter how hard they train, they will never have a six-pack. We're just about to get to training our abs, but first, how lean do we need to be for our six-pack to show? This depends on body fat distribution, another genetic element, and how thick our abdominals are. You need to be at least 15% body fat or leaner. Most of the time I'm around 12 to 13% body fat, and my abs show reasonably well. But to get your abdominals to show even better, without having to get totally shredded, you have to train them. To look at exercises for a rectus abdominis, I reviewed a few EMG studies and settled on the 2014 study done by the American Council on Exercise. They compared a series of exercises to the basic crunch to see which activated the abdominals the best. They looked at the upper and lower portion of the rectus abdominis, external obliques, and the rectus femoris, a quad muscle that acts as a hip flexor. The top exercise was the decline bench curl up for both upper and lower activation. It was the second best when it came to external obliques. I thought it was strange, but the stability ball crunch came next, and it was a close second. This isn't an exercise I do, but one thing it does is it puts you in a position to use the full range of motion, allowing you to hyperextend your abdominals while supporting your back, where a typical crunch, done on the floor, all you can do is lie flat. Another exercise that allows you to do a full range of motion is a cable or band crunch. This movement doesn't provide any back support, so make sure you flex your abs to keep your core fully engaged in the stretch position, or you could feel some discomfort in your lower back. Regarding the number one exercise, decline crunches, I would consider this a more advanced move from the basic floor crunch, with the slope of the bench increasing the resistance. This exercise also had a very high hip flexor activation. The range of motion stops once you've fully curled up your midsection. Going any further only works your hip flexors. Benches designed specifically for decline crunches have a camber built into them to allow for a fuller range of motion. The third exercise on the list is the captain's chair crunch. For upper ab activation, some lesser known pieces of equipment ranked slightly better, but for lower abs it was a solid third. It also had high rectus femoris activation. To ensure you're working your abs, you need to curl them as you raise your knees. We could apply this result to hanging knee or leg raises. The most significant difference being you have a lot less stability when hanging and run the risk of using momentum to bring your knees up. The other thing that can end up happening is you use your lats to raise your torso up without even working your abdominals. The captain chair crunch was another exercise that highly activated the external obliques. From looking at the data, the more unstable an ab exercise is, the harder the external obliques had to work. The exercise with the most instability and hit the obliques the hardest was the ab wheel rollout. It did a good job of targeting the lower portion of the abdominals, ranking just under captain crunch. It didn't do as good a job of hitting the upper portion of the abdominal muscle, showing about 10% less activation. Something worth pointing out here is while there are differences in how the upper and lower areas of the rectus abdominis responded to various exercises, the researchers didn't find them to be significant enough to be considered selectively targeting upper or lower abs. The key to getting strong sculpted abs is the same as any other muscle. We need to overload it progressively, starting with the basic crunch using body weight, going slow and controlled, making sure you do a full range of motion. Once you've mastered this, you can hold your arms straight overhead to increase the resistance. For the next level, you hold the dumbbell overhead, pause in the top position to really feel the abdominals contracting. From here, you can move to a decline crunch. To learn how to progress ab wheel rollouts from kneeling to standing to build those abs, watch this video next and keep working out while having fun. This is Lawrence from Fit and 50. We'll talk to you again in the next one.